Well, it's been 10 days since I started using the Honor Magic 4 Pro. Time for the review. I've covered a lot of technical aspects in the first unboxing video I made. It's like 16 minutes long, so you can take a look at that first. I'll primarily be covering two things in this full review. Firstly is the battery life, and secondly the minor things in the user experience that you will only find out once you extensively use the device. There's no way I could have told you these things in 1 or 2 days. Let's get the battery thing out of the way first. It's a 4600 mAh unit in there, which the effective capacity comes down to 4500, so you can take it as 4500 mAh. And as you may have guessed, with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 being extremely power hungry, it's just a one-day phone. You can kill this phone within a day. Even though I haven't done so, I have reached a day where I ended the day at 20% battery. Thankfully, the crazy 100-watt fast charger can do a great job at recharging within 35-40 minutes max, so that's all great. Usually I ended the day in about 35%, so it is a pretty good phone. It can last you for one day of pretty heavy usage, but you can kill this phone in a day. Yes, I wish the battery was a little bit bigger, because even on the highest end of this Magic 4 series, it's called the Magic 4 Ultimate I believe, I don't have it with me, even that has the same 4600 mAh unit, and that too has pretty mediocre battery life. So yeah, this is not gonna stack up to anything like a Galaxy S22 Ultra or even an iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's not bad, of course. There are phones out there that die faster than even one day, so at least this lasts you one full day of moderate to heavy usage, and I'm happy with that. Now, the reason why the title reads like that, so close, is because there are a few things in this phone that doesn't allow it to be a full-fledged flagship. You see, people generally put a lot of emphasis on the hardware front, and yes, that is important. This phone has top-tier hardware, as I mentioned, but the Honor UI or the Magic OS interface keeps it from being the truly high-end flagship that it is. And I think it really comes down to Honor not innovating, or rather not spending as much time on their UI as much as their competitors are doing, like Samsung has. I've been using Samsung phones for a very long time. Ever since they first launched their Android phones in India, I got their first ever phone. Samsung has learned a lot after doing a lot of bad UI versions, so as a result, their One UI interface is fantastic. And some gestures like the one-handed mode, apparently you have to swipe across the bottom here, I never managed to get it to work. Not even once. I mean, it works on the demo window, but it doesn't really work outside of it. So what's the point? Like, it defeats the purpose. I even enabled these navigation buttons to see if they make a difference, but nope, that gesture simply does not work. Like, that's what confuses me about this phone. The hardware truly feels like a $1,200 flagship, which this thing is, but the software features kind of feel like a $600 phone. These glaring issues that it has, it doesn't really feel like a full-fledged flagship. And I don't think this is running early preview software. I think this is running a final version. In fact, I don't recall seeing any notice from Honor saying that this is running, pre-release software or anything like that. So I assume this is the final version, and well, I'm kind of disappointed. Now, to be clear, I am really happy with the performance and everything of the device. It's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 platform. It has everything I need. It's the most powerful phone that I own. So yeah, obviously it flies through every task you throw at it. And yes, my SIM card is still in there, and this is my primary device. I'm pretty happy with all the hardware that I see, but it's just the interface that makes me wish that it was a little bit more polished, because this doesn't feel like a premium phone to me. I've talked in depth about the cameras on this thing in the past video I've made, but I'll add one more thing to it. It's the color science of their videos. Like, I don't like the videos' colors. Every single mode that I use in their videos seems to have a greenish tone on my skin. Like, have you noticed that in the last video I made on this channel as well as on my second channel? My skin looks greenish. No matter what I did, I just could not take away that green tinge. I even recorded in log format. Log format is meant to be like a completely flat format which you can then add any kind of color, or you can add any LUT that you want. And even then I couldn't get rid of that green hue. I'm no expert in color grading, so maybe that can be easily fixed. I'm not sure. No amount of moving sliders around fixed that thing for me. So my skin does look greenish, and there seems to be some kind of a AI smoothing going on. I have disabled that in the software, but still it's on somehow. My skin looks really smooth, even though this sensor is big enough to let in enough light, and I was recording in 4K, so there should have been plenty of clarity. But it doesn't feel like that though. I don't know, I mean, the cameras are capable, like that's what frustrates me. If the hardware was not amazing, then I would have said, yeah, it's an average phone. But the hardware is next level, it's premium, it's amazing. But the software experience and the overall user experience is hit or miss. Like, sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it misses completely. So that is not a mark of a flagship phone in my opinion. And no, in case you're wondering, this is not launching in India officially, as of now at least, but you can still import it. I mean, I'm using the SIM card that I have in here and it works fine. Phone calls and everything, it works fine. So you can import it if you want. But that price tag of 92,000 approximate Indian rupees or like $1,200 or something, I don't know about that. At least not in the current state of the camera algorithm and the general UI. And talking about the everyday usage of this thing, let's talk about the biometrics. The face unlock and fingerprint, I have set them up both, and before I could even use the fingerprint, the face unlock works. Like, it's way faster than anything I've used and it's very reliable. It never misses to recognize my face even if I'm like super far away from the phone. Sometimes, hilariously, I lock the phone, I'm about to keep it down, but it recognizes the change in the movement, looks at my face and unlocks it once again. Sometimes it feels a bit too fast, I don't even see the lock screen anymore. I mean, of course, it's not a complaint, I'm just impressed how fast it is. Based on what I've seen, it seems to recognize from your nose till your eyes, like this triangular area. So if you cover your mouth, it still works, like your jaw features are not required. And if you're wearing some sort of a headgear, it still works and there is no problem, as you can see. So yeah, you can wear headphones like normal people. But of course, as you might have imagined, since the nose will be covered when you're wearing a mask, yeah, this thing has the same issue as the iPhones used to have, so it cannot unlock your face. You have to momentarily drag your mask down until your mouth level to reveal your nose so that it can unlock. Now it has an alternate option to register another face. I tried to register another one with the mask on, but it never seemed to work. It kept giving me messages that look left, look right, etc. It failed to recognize my facial structure because the mask was covering almost 2/3 of the face, right? So it doesn't work with the mask and it doesn't allow you to register with the mask. Thankfully, there is that super fast fingerprint sensor that works every single time. The phone is pretty hefty, like it's the heaviest phone that I own, but it's very well balanced, as I told you. Like, the buttons are super clicky and the glass on the back feels super premium. And again, I'm not very sure of the materials used here, but I think this frame is stainless steel. It feels denser and a little bit more stronger than the normal aluminum frames that I've used. And eventually I got used to that camera bump. Even though I've never used it before, I managed to rest my finger right next to the bump and I got used to it like this. I hold it like this now with my finger resting underneath it. There are some cool UI things here that I forgot that Honor phones have. Like, this is a very old feature, but there are something called knuckle gestures. Like, you can double tap on the screen with your knuckles to take a screenshot. If you want, you can like draw something like this and it kind of highlights it with your knuckles. It's really amazing. I love this feature. Like, I can easily crop and do whatever I like. There are a bunch of presets I can select. I do take a lot of screenshots for various reasons. So this is super handy for me. This was in Huawei phones for a long time now, and Honor has adopted the same thing. I like it. And yeah, everything else about this phone is actually pretty satisfactory. The battery life is good enough, as I said. The 100-watt charging gets you up to speed in no time. This thing is supposed to be a competitor for the Galaxy S22 series. They mentioned that pretty extensively in their review guide. And even though I don't have an S22 series phone to compare directly, I can give you a pretty good understanding because I have the hands-on Samsung experience for a long time. Performance-wise, I think both of them will be on par since this thing also has a 8 Gen 1 chipset. It has lesser RAM though, so multitasking may be a different issue. Camera-wise, I think the S22 Ultra would be better because it has better colors. I mean, even my Note 9, which is super old at this point, has better colors than this thing, especially in video. Photos, definitely this thing wins hands down. The ultra-wide and the zoom are awesome on this. But the color on the video is not great, so I'll continue to use my Note 9 for now because I like the colors on this thing. Honor, if you could work on your color science a little bit, it would be great. And of course, in the UI department as well, it's not going to match up to Samsung's flagships. One UI, as I said in my experience, has been fantastic. There are no issues, no weird bugs, no strange glitches in the animation. It's a completely polished UI. And that level of polish is lacking on this phone, even though the price tag is almost same. So that's my problem, Honor. Either you can make the UI better in the next few weeks, or you can kind of maybe drop the price a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen, but if you could drop it down to $900 or $800, then this would be a really easy thing to recommend. This thing has so many awesome features that the Galaxy series has never seen. As a Galaxy user myself, I'm impressed by a lot of things, like the charging speed, for example. 100-watt wireless and wired. Samsung has nothing anywhere close to this. And the display in my experience has been on par with every single Galaxy device I've used. It's not as bright as the Samsung Galaxy phones because these phones do get really bright, but the quality of display is really good. And one thing I noticed was that I know the refresh rate is variable, so it changes from 1 Hz to 120 Hz, but I noticed it never goes as high as 120 Hz, like it only stays around 95 Hz or so. So I went into the settings and I made it to the maximum, so I kept it on high all the time, and I kept the resolution at the high settings as well. So both of them were running on the high setting at the same time. I noticed it doesn't do a big difference for the battery actually. I mean, even if it is on auto mode, the battery life is comparable. So why not keep it on 120 Hz all the time? Because the experience is drastically better. I mean, man, once you get used to this smoothness, there is no going back. It's a beautiful 120 Hz OLED display. I love it. HDR on this looks great. The speakers are awesome. I really like using this phone. Really, when it all comes down to one thing, it's the price tag. I'm not comfortable with this price tag, Honor. I'm not comfortable recommending people this phone with a few minor issues here and there at $1,200 or so. And you as a customer, depending on which country you live in, you can still import this, but just try to get a good deal on it. Like, try to snipe it at a really good deal and don't try to pay the full MSRP. That would be my advice. Now let's answer the difficult question of which one would I choose if I was given a choice between this and the S22 Ultra. I think I'll still go with the S22 Ultra, mainly because I know what to expect from Samsung. I know that for around the similar price, S22 Ultra would have a more refined experience. If Honor can fix those minor issues that I mentioned in this video, then sure, I'll have an easier time recommending this phone, but I still think they should drop the price just a little bit so that they can say that even for a lesser price than the S22 Ultra, we have more features. And they do have some more features that Samsung users have never experienced before, like that charging. Now of course I'll continue to use this phone as usual. I mean, I don't see why not. It's the highest performing device that I have. But yeah, Honor, you are not quite there yet to compete with Samsung. That's why I say you're so close. So close. Let me know if you have any questions about this in the comments. I'll continue to use this as my main device and give you updates when I get them. As usual, a disclaimer, this phone was provided by Honor, but they did not give me any sort of points to talk about. They shared a document which was the reviewer's guide. It just lists all the features of the phone that I used for reference, but it doesn't tell me what to say. So all the thoughts you heard were my own.